My name is Brandon Baker. I'm an interpretive naturalist at Eastman Nature Center, and today we're going to be talking about the exciting world of fireflies. So fireflies glow in pretty much every stage of their life, from the time they're eggs to larvae to pupa, and usually as adults they are glowing. And when they're in their first 3 life stages, they're glowing to let predators know, hey, we're poisonous, don't eat us. Some fireflies continue to glow as adults, and while it still signals that they're toxic, it's also been modified to help attract mates, and that's how they find each other. So we know why they glow, but how do they glow? And that's what we're gonna do right now. This is our Firefly Magic Show, where we examine the ingredients they need to glow to show they're toxic or to attract each other. After this, my fellow naturalist, Miranda Jones, will go over what equipment you need to go and catch your own fireflies and observe them glowing yourself. So, to get started, fireflies need 5 basic things in order to glow. They need oxygen, which luckily is all around us. They need magnesium, which is a shiny metal that some of you may have used in fire starters. They may need ATPs, and then they need luciferin, a protein that glows with the right ingredients, and luciferase, an enzyme. So they have to combine these 5 things. And they need these 5 things because each of those things adds something to the equation. The first is oxygen. So we all like oxygen, we breathe it, we use it, but oxygen is actually highly oxidative. That means it steals electrons from other things, and it changes their structure. And so if you've ever cut an apple and left it out, you'll notice that apple actually starts to turn brown. That's oxygen interacting with the starch in the apple and converting it to sugars. The oxygen is ripping electrons from the starch, turning it into the sugars because of that oxidation that it does. It's very powerful. It's what makes rust on iron. It's even used by your body in its own white blood cells. Some of your body makes oxygen, what we call free radicals, to destroy cells that might be infected with a virus. So oxygen is incredibly powerful at stealing electrons, ripping things, moving things around. It's a very powerful tool to use, and that's one of the first ingredients that is needed by fireflies. After that, they need magnesium. So some of you maybe have seen a shiny metal like this before. Magnesium, it's a metal that it burns incredibly hot. It can actually burn in water. If you get enough of it together, it can actually set the air on fire. So magnesium is a high energy element. And we're not entirely sure what its role is in helping fireflies glow, but we know it's necessary, we know they use it, and we know it has a lot of energy, as I'm going to show you here as I set some of these magnesium flakes on fire. It was hard to see just how hot that fire was because it's so bright out, but just that little tiny fire completely shattered my bowl. Once we have oxygen, once we have magnesium, well, now we need ATP. And if you think back to some high school biology, ATP is what your cells make after you eat. So once you eat something like this apple, it's a really good apple, you'll digest it. It'll go into your intestines, get broken down into its basic components, and one of those components is sugar. That sugar gets transported to your cells, where little things called mitochondria in your cells break down that sugar and turn to ATP. Each ATP has 3 phosphate molecules on it. Phosphate is so reactive that if pure phosphate is exposed just to the air around you, it instantly catches on fire. Again, another high energy thing that's produced by your body or by a firefly's body from the food it eats in order to make that glow. So we've got oxygen, which phosphate will ignite around. We've got magnesium, which itself has a lot of energy in it and can ignite. So these high energy things, and then ATP, which is somehow kind of powering this, driving this. You need one other thing though. You need luciferin. Luciferin is a protein that fireflies have, and when it's exposed to ADP, oxygen and magnesium, it glows. Unfortunately, it would take a long time for this glow to happen. And fireflies are flashing sometimes several times a second at a very set, very specific time scale. So how do they do that? Well, that's where they use luciferase. Luciferase is a catalyst, and a catalyst is something that makes things happen faster. So for instance, right in here, I have hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. It's something you've probably used before. And hydrogen peroxide is a liquid that basically is water with extra oxygen added to it. And if you look carefully, you might even see some bubbles in there. That's the extra oxygen, the O2 part of H2O2, starting to break off. The oxygen wants to naturally break free of the hydrogen peroxide, but it does it somewhat slowly. If we add a catalyst, we can speed that reaction up. So I'm going to add something called manganese dioxide. This is a powder that acts as a catalyst with hydrogen peroxide. It makes the extra oxygen break off really, really fast. And so you're going to see smoke coming out of here. What that smoke is actually just oxygen, pure oxygen being torn off of the water molecules. And so you can see now it's bubbling much, much faster. You can actually see the bubbles as the oxygen comes off. You can see all the mini bubbles at the bottom, and this is actually getting very hot. Oh, there's some smoke starting to come off the top. That's oxygen leaving it, but it's hot. This went from about 70 degrees to now it's over 100 degrees because of that reaction that that oxygen's ripping off so fast. So catalysts, their job is to speed things up. Now, in terms of fireflies, their glow is cold. There is no heat put off from it because it's chemical. So even though they're using catalysts, it's still a cold glow, but they are using a catalyst that speeds things up, just like manganese dioxide sped up the oxygen removal from hydrogen dioxide. So what happens is you add your oxygen, you add your magnesium, you add your ATP, and then your luciferin, the glowing protein, and the luciferase surrounds all those things. It squeezes them together. It transfers energy from our first three into our luciferin, and that makes the luciferin glow. It emits a light. By their powers combined, you get a light in the dark. So thank you for watching our magic show. I hope you enjoyed learning about how fireflies make themselves glow. And next up, Miranda Jones is going to explain how you can catch your own fireflies and see that glow in person.
The really cool thing about looking for fireflies is you really don't need that much to find them. So I'm going to show you a couple of the different tools that would be really easy to use in your backyard or a park close to your home, or even if you come here to Eastman Nature Center at night to go looking for fireflies. Here are a couple of the tools that I think are super helpful. You might want to use a net. A clear net is really helpful because then you can see them a lot better. You can see their glow through that see-through mesh. You could probably pick up something similar like this at a Walmart or at a pet store. And then another thing that is easy to use is an old peanut butter jar. You can poke some holes on the top and then you can gently cup the fireflies into your jar to be able to enjoy watching them flash. If you're going to keep them longer than half an hour though, I really highly recommend putting some wet paper towels on the bottom. Fireflies really like moisture and they don't want to be too dried out. A couple of words of caution. Fireflies are completely harmless, but if you're putting bug spray on, it's really important that you don't get any bug spray on your hands because bug spray deters mosquitoes and other pests, but it can also really harm fireflies as well. So just make sure that you try to not have any bug spray on your hands. I'm going to show you one of the techniques that's easy to use when you're using a net like this. It's called sweeping. You just sweep it back and forth and are able to catch a bunch of insects. So I'll demonstrate that so you kind of know what to do when you're out in the field looking for insects or fireflies. So I like to take my net and I like to just sweep back and forth in the grass, just like this. And when I've done that for a little bit, then I can gently cup my hand around the net so that no creatures can escape. And then you can see what you caught by looking through that see-through mesh. Now, like I said, at night, it's way easier to try to find fireflies because they have that glow. And so what you can do is watch them, wait until they land, or if they're flying slowly through the air, you can use your net to be able to scoop them up into your net. It's really important that you also think about catch and release because fireflies have a very important mission. They're trying to find a mate so that they can lay their eggs, and they only have a short window. Some species only really flash for about a month. And so it's really important that after you've enjoyed watching them flash a little bit, looked at them a little closer, that you let them go. Another favorite technique of mine to catch fireflies is simply using your hands. You can gently cup your fingers around the firefly and you can watch them in your hand. They're super gentle and really beautiful to be able to enjoy up close like that.
Thank you for watching this video with us. I hope it inspires you to go catch fireflies in your own backyard and enjoy their light in the dark.